Hey y'all, happy Thursday. Come on in the room. Y'all already saw my post. Y'all already seen my flyers. Y'all already know I've been hyped, so you already know what today is about. And if you don't know, we about to have a good old conversation. So welcome to Conversations from Paris. Y'all should see it in my eyes. Like I feel refreshed. I feel wonderful. Today's gonna be a great day. Y'all gonna get a lot of the extra because I'm feeling extra. So I come on in, let's say hi so I can know that you're here. Please let me know that you're in here. And then y'all know what I'm gonna do. I'm about to share. So when I share, that y'all actually sharing too, right? Let's have a share party. When I share, y'all share. Hey, Auntie Cynthia, I love you. When I share, you share. That way, we rocking and rolling. And I'm going to do one more thing. I'm gonna make sure I share with my guest. But y'all come on in. Come on in. Come on in. I'm in here, so if y'all here, let me know. I know y'all coming in the room. Don't worry. And I'm about to announce my guests and all that. I just want to make sure everybody in this in dancery. Y'all got the dancery. That's from Mary J. Blige. I like the word dancery. So y'all come on here. All right, come on in the room. I'm not gonna take Tabitha Brown thing, but y'all know that song from back in the day, the come on in the room thing, right? But anyway, so I shared. I hope you shared. I hope you tag somebody, y'all. This is about to be a good conversation. Y'all know it's still Women's History Month, so I'm excited because I've been seeing so many dope people that have been definitely like showing everything that they do, and I'm excited. I love to celebrate other women, and so you know we're not doing anything less here, right? So it's just a matter of us putting our efforts into talking about subjects. And last month I did about the men's mental health. So this month it's befitting to do something to women. For me, what do we talk about the most, women? We talk about relationships, y'all. That's what we talk about. We love them. We talk about them. We are in them. We covet them. And so I said, not only let's talk about relationships, let's talk about healthy relationships. So that's this series. My first week with Deborah was amazing. She came on to talk about, what is it like when a relationship ends? And in that case, we were talking about a romantic relationship, what happens, and how to pick up from that and to keep moving. And that was a good look. Hey, Seneca girl, welcome, welcome, welcome. And so my special guest is no stranger to this live, but I am always so grateful when she comes on because she is just a wealth of knowledge. Hey, Mom, love you. She's a wealth of knowledge, and she's always so willing when I ask her. Her name is Lynn Murphy, and I'm bringing her in. Come on, let me tap her in. Come on, Lynn, girl.
Hey, Paris. Thanks for having me.
You know I'm extra, so you already know I'm gonna do all this. Y'all, if y'all don't know, Lynn is I think the actual initials behind her last name is MA, and she is a counselor, and she is she does so many different things. I know.
Yes.
I have her bio. Hold on, I have her whole bio. Let's be very clear. I have it, and I think I'm just excited, so I'm not looking at it right now. So I apologize, but you know what, Lynn? Hey, while I'm trying to fumble around, why don't you go ahead and tell the people what you do? Because I love to, I think that last time I had you on, by the time we got done, we really didn't go into it. But let them know some of the things you got coming up, so they can know.
Yeah. So I am a media psychologist, and I do a lot of things, all things media, especially social media. One of the biggest things that I'm into right now is social media language. I am also a life coach, well, a spiritual life coach. So I do all things spiritual life coaching. And I have a mentoring program for teenage girls, which is amazing. I love working with the younger girls.
That's awesome. I think that's so pivotal. We're gonna get back into that because I know it's necessary. So necessary right now. So that's so dope. And so I think this is even better reason why we should be talking about this. So today I wanted to get into friendships, right? Sometimes we talk about how certain relationships wreck our lives or they've caused us so much stress and undue. And we're talking about romantic relationships. That's what a lot of women want to talk about. And that's true. And it happens. And it's a big part of you. You put it that time into other people, and it can be very, detrimental sometimes to you, and very scarring and traumatic. But what about friendships? Let's talk about that, because we all talk about having a friend, your best friend, your girl, your peeps, all. But I don't know if we really honestly talk about what a healthy friendship looks like, because and I don't think that we're honest about the effects of a friendship not gone right, right? I'll be honest, I have had some of the hardest breakups with friendships more than a relationship, because those are the ones you even talk to about your relationships, right? So it's like those bonds can tend to be very close, and they can tend to be like you let your guards completely down. And so sometimes we don't really realize the necessity of talking about healthy friendships. And that's what we're going to talk about today. So, hey sis. So, I really want you to, I want to just, let's run on into this thing. Today we're talking about what a healthy friendship looks like among women. So I'm gonna lend you the flow. I'm not gonna even tell you how to flow. I'm gonna lend you the flow coming in, and then you tell us what you want to talk about.
So I love this topic of healthy friendships among women. It's something that is often neglected. And I feel so sorry for women or girls who say, I don't do other women, I don't do other girlfriends. But that is, when I hear that, I'm like, I always think, what state of health are you in? Because women who have healthy relationships, they have a better survival rate when it comes to illnesses, especially like terminal diseases. So I'm all about healthy relationships. And I think the other thing that you mentioned, when, women, some of the hardest breakups we've had have been friends. And that is absolutely true. And a lot of our trust issues can stem not just from our romantic relationships, but also, these friendships that have broken. I see a lot of petty breakups, like friendship, like breakup over petty things. And I really think another reason we do that is because we don't know how to recover. Like there are some things that, are non-negotiable when it comes to friendship, deal breakers, but then there are some things that are petty, like you didn't call me back in a timely fashion. So, I'm done with you. Like, no, that's petty. So when I see things like that, I'm always thinking like, what went wrong? But do you want to start talking about healthy friendships, or you want to start with the toxic? Like you want to go good and then bad, or bad and then good?
Well, you first of all, you already covered a lot, and I forgot that. I wanted to say that too. That whole thing when you have women that say, "I don't have female friends. I don't do women friends." Can I? You know me, I'm about transparency. I have said that before.
Yes, I have as well.
I have said it before. No, and you know what? Mine, I think it came from a place where, I'll be honest, it was an identity issue. I felt like I related more to men.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was a tomboy. I grew up, and my family in the chat already, they already know me. I grew up running with the boys, climbing trees, you know what I'm saying? Where, I was running with them. I was, wanting to be tough. I was not a baby doll, makeup girl. I wasn't her. You know what I'm saying? So for me, it was more comfortable and more relatable to go around men. And then the way men talk about women is that we're catty. And especially if you've experienced that. So then you hear it, and then you experience it. And so what happens is I opted out. I said, yeah, all that whining and, she said this to me. And I didn't want parts of it. And so for me, that was a little different, but I think it was a level of defense. Before, like I didn't experience the hurt yet, but I just didn't want the drama. I think I was like, no more drama. Like I didn't want the drama of the female friendships. And so I had that. But then, like you said, a lot of people come from, and I found this out too, there are a lot of people who don't know how to have female friendships because of, and this is going to hit in hot, but I think that you tell me if I'm wrong here. If you weren't taught it, if you didn't see it in your family structure, if you didn't know how to do it, it's very possible you didn't know how to do it because you didn't see it. You know what I'm saying?
You're absolutely right. But that's how we learn everything on a foundational level. That's, relationships across the board. I just say ships, but ships across the board. So relationships, friendships, partnerships, if that wasn't modeled to you in your home growing up, you're going to have a difficult time when you're an adult trying to do these things.
And it doesn't mean, and listen, every time I say something about, it being in your home or in your atmosphere, I think people take offense to that. And I really want us to stop and not do that. Let's be very clear. We all do what we know and we demonstrate what we see. If you think what you're doing is completely healthy, it doesn't really mean that you purposely showed toxic or dysfunctional. You might think it's perfectly normal because I use that whole idea of like COVID weight, right? We in this house, we wearing jogging, we wearing stretchy pants, okay? And we are eating, okay? Do you hear me? And we don't realize that in our comfortable state that we are trying to put on some weight back on. And it's like, okay, but then when you put on them jeans or that shirt that you can't get in, that's a reminder. Oh, okay, wait a minute. But in your comfortable state or where you're around just everything and everybody's just comfortable, like it's not something that you think about. So I want anybody that's in the comments, I want to remind y'all, like, it's okay to say that you might have had a loving family and grew up in a loving environment and still don't know what a healthy friendship looks like.
Exactly.
And it's nobody's fault. You know what I'm saying? It's nobody's fault. And I think we need to say that because I think people turn it off right there. Like, oh, she said it must be that. Nope, I don't do the blame shifting. I don't do that. I'm saying that until we acknowledge that it's possible that we don't know what a healthy friendship look like, we can't go forward with the fact of, that being us understanding that. So
right.
When you asked me, should we talk about healthy first? I think we do, because I think sometimes we know what toxic sometimes looks like, but let's start with healthy so we can start to define that and figure out what it takes to build a healthy friendship, because maybe we don't know.
And I love when you said define, because I always think that it's important to define words in general, because people come from different backgrounds, they have different experiences. So friendship to us may mean something different. Yes. And I think especially with social media now, everybody's friends with everybody's friends, with everybody. So it's important to define the word friendship and what it means to you, but also it's important to define those in relationships. You just can't assume that someone's definition of friendship is the same as yours. So that's the first thing right there. Define friendship. What does it actually mean? And that's the personal thing.
Let me type this in here. I'm sorry, girl, because this is good. Because I feel like y'all don't know. She comes from documents. You hear me? So today I'm going to make sure, I'm not going to make her distribute it. I'm going to type some stuff in here. So define the friendship terms. Is that a good way to start?
Yes. What does friendship mean to you? And then ask your friends, what does friendship mean to them? And this can be for new friends, old friends, because we have friends we've known since elementary school, right? And those friendship, it changes over time. So it's important to define friendship. And that's a healthy relationship, just that communication of, what does friendship mean for you? Yes. Do you have different levels? Do you have sub levels within those levels of friendship? Am I going too fast for you, Paris?
No, listen, that's good. Honestly, I put that there and I'm just absorbing it because, like you said, it's those levels within it. But that's a complete sentence. Define what friendship means to you. What do you expect? And it's about expectations. Remember, we talked about that thing too.
Yes.
About expectations are daily. I hear people say it all the time, like, oh, if they know me, they should know what I like. Can we not do that? In 2021, can we did that?
Right. No, that is toxic. Just assuming people should know you, that's toxic.
Girl, listen, let me tell you, people say this in all type of relationships, and it becomes a point of contention of, oh, they should know that I don't like that, or they should know I'm sensitive, or they should know that I don't like help. And the thing about it is people don't know. And if you think they know, stop assuming they know and be clear and direct communicators.
Exactly.
That's concise communication is going to help. That way you don't have to guess. That way you don't have to think. You know for sure that's what it is.
Right. And I think that just the communication part, that's a huge part of any healthy relationship. But people are not mature in their communication, right? They're just not mature. You need to know that about friends, Are they mature enough to have these conversations? Do you want a friend that's not mature enough to, to be able to communicate? I'll just random stuff. You can text people or you call people like, hey, what's your definition of friendship? Because I'm trying kind of sorting through things right now. You ain't got to let them know they're on the chopping block, but you can just say, hey, I'm just trying to get some definition.
Well, and you know what? It doesn't necessarily mean that's an indicator of bad thing. It means that I love you enough to assess this relationship. And what I care to assess, I'm going to talk to you about. And I love you, so let's talk about it. I think sometimes people are so scared to have these critical conversations that are so necessary, and therefore you lose out on the idea of, you know, making room for the conversation. And so then now, I love what you said a little earlier about the length of relationship, girl. I don't even want to go there. You know how I talk about, you know, intimacy is not defined by proximity, right? And so the whole idea that we have a natural closeness because we're close, whatever that means. But the point is like you said, you might have a 20-year friendship. Do you understand how much you have grown in 20 years? First of all, you better not be the same person you were 20 years ago, okay? Matter of fact,
Right.
the person you were 2 years ago. And if you really believe that, then you can't expect your friend to be the same person. And then if that's the case, then what are the rules for making sure that you reassess this? Let's, you know, like if y'all been on Clubhouse, y'all hear they say, let's reset the room.
Mm-hmm.
And they reset the room. And what that means is literally, okay, we've been talking about this. Now it's new people in the room that don't know what's going on. Let's tell them, bring them up to speed about what's going on, and let's continue in our conversation. Same thing I think needs to happen with those relationships. Yes, I've known you for 20 years, but I'm changing probably like the rate of my change right now is crazy. And so you might not know what's going on with me. And we need to have those kind of conversations. And let's not be scared of them. And they shouldn't be defensive. And they shouldn't have to be this confrontational thing, right?
Right. They definitely should not be confrontational. But that also requires a level of vulnerability. And I know vulnerability, you know, it's an ugly word, but I think that, you know, that is that's like number two when it comes to friendships. It's the vulnerability in it. How vulnerable are you willing to be? Because in order to develop these friendships, you need trust. You need, you know, and not only just trust, you have to be prepared for like those times that you have trust ruptures, right? So you're not going to always agree on everything, and you shouldn't as friends anyway. You don't want anybody who's that's toxic. You don't want an all yes and all no person, but you want a good healthy balance, right? Of someone who's going to be vulnerable with you as you be vulnerable with them. But that vulnerability, you have to be okay with being hurt, right? So if there is a trust rupture and you are hurt, you have to be able to be okay with that. That comes with the territory of being friends.
That's so good. First of all, I love this word, trust rupture. First of
Yeah,
all,
that's the word we use in psychology, just trust rupture.
good, because you know I'm still learning, and so let me be clear. I love that, the trust rupture. That's so good, and being able to understand not only will it happen, but you should expect it to happen.
Right.
This is a lesson that I learned too when I was much younger, and I didn't learn it. I learned it the hard way. If you've been in a long relationship and you guys have never had an argument, then the reality is you're probably not as honest versions of yourself as you think you are, because no two people are 100% alike. You have your thoughts, they have their thoughts. It doesn't have to be an argument, but there should be a point where you can say that I don't always agree with that person, or they don't always agree with me. And then we learned how to deal with that. I had to look back at a situation before I was in and realize that when a disagreement happened, it was huge blow up for us because we didn't know how to deal with them because we never had one. We were so trying to be, I think what's the word? Get along to, you know, you want to make everything okay. You know, you want to be the easy to go friend. You want to be somebody that makes it easy. You know, people say, I want to be easy to love. I want to be their peace, you know. And I think the reality is, although that's wonderful, I think authenticity is necessary. And then when you talk about vulnerability, it's the same thing, right? You have to be willing to open yourself up. And when you're opening yourself up, then you can be an authentic version. So like if you can love somebody and say, I don't like this. And if you're in a friendship, y'all should be able to talk about that and not be a deal breaker and it not be a point of contention.
Right. You should be able to talk to your friends without them always taking everything that you want or everything that you say offensively, right? Especially during the times that you're being vulnerable.
Yeah. Because if people can't be vulnerable with you, let me tell you, I'm telling you from experience. If I start to be vulnerable, and I don't think this is a bad thing, I'm gonna be honest. This is most people's thing. I'm getting better at it, But and especially in the past, if I start to be vulnerable and open up to you, and I'm hit with this, even if I can forgive you, even if we can be close, what you might not realize is that I might subconsciously limit my interactions with you. Okay. I might subconsciously limit my interactions. It's not because I am punishing you. It's because people do sometimes what they call the path to least what's it called? Path to
Least resistance.
That's exactly what it is. And we don't even realize we're doing it. It's kind of a protection mechanism. But who wants to be arguing all the time? Who wants to always open up their mouth and you take everything that they say offensively? Who, or let's go here. This is what I see a lot too. My experience is my experience. Please do not try to tell me I didn't experience what I experienced.
Right. That's gaslighting.
Girl, you already knew. I was ready to put the light. You know, I be loving my little terminologies. I know now. Can you explain to the people what gaslighting is in full terminology so they can know?
If I have to give it like the simplest terms, it's when something happens and then somebody tells you they'll tell you that's not what happened, or they'll try to make you think that it didn't happen. But people see everything from their perspective. So if it's something that they believe they witnessed, you have to take that for what it is. Just because it's not what you saw or what you witnessed at the time doesn't mean that that's not real for them. And we have, when people say that they feel a certain way or they experience something, we have to acknowledge that. You know, that's where empathy comes in. That's part of having healthy friendships, being able to empathize with people. And a lot of people don't know how to do that. Again, if you've never had anyone empathize with you, you have to learn how to empathize with other people.
That's good. I think that's the part where I want us to hear. I hope we're hearing the idea that you might not know how to do these things already. And it's okay. I think people assume, oh, I'm a grown up, so of course I know how to have healthy friendships. And I think it's a really prideful point to come from. And I'm gonna speak, because again, we're all about transparency. I used to think that. I'm like, I'm a great friend. I'm an amazing friend. Because here's another point. You could be doing everything you think is being a good friend, but not understand what their definitions are. Like what you said, asking them what a friend is. And so you might not understand you're creating unintentional injuries because there was not boundaries defined, or there was not these terms defined. And so that's what I think I did a lot in my younger years. I assumed I knew what friendship looked like. In my mind, I need to you what you were to me, what I would like, which is a good starting point. It's a very good starting point. But then what if I view this as a good friendship on this end and you view it as overbearing? Or what if I view this as not being a good friend and you said, well, that's how I know you care. And it's like, that's not going to always line up, but at least we know and we understand how to understand what your love languages are. That does not just romantic. Love languages are not just romantic, but to understand how I can love you as a friend, or how I can show up for you.
Yes, I think that when it comes to love languages, people have made it so selfish. Like they'll tell people, you know, this is my love language, without ever actually asking the other person what their love language is, right? That's something that we've become so selfish about. But that brings me to a point in friendships. Just put aside love language for a second. And I like to talk about people's attachment style. Right. So that's something that we have to know, like, what is your friend's attachment style? Because some people, you know, in a healthy attachment style, we call that like secure. So you have a secure attachment. You know how to emotionally regulate yourself. You know, you're not blowing up at people. You know how to be alone, and you know how to be with people, and you're content either way. Right. So that's a healthy style. And you need to know that for yourself. Like, what's your attachment style? And you have to also know like your friend's attachment style. Because remember, I always tell people everybody has some level of trauma, and that comes out in their attachment style, right? So, communication style, learning style, and love language. But attachment style. So there's 4 different attachment styles. The secure one is the healthy one, and then you have the people that are anxious. They're the ones who, who will text you and then they expect a response right away, right? Or they'll text you right back. You haven't even had a chance to respond to them. They're anxious, for an answer, and they're constantly like seeking that like that attention, right? So they're anxious. And then you have those the avoidant ones. So the people that refuses to get close to anybody, right? So they just have like all these surface level friendships. And that's across the board. That's with their spouses, that's with their
Yes.
friends, even with their family. So that's avoidant. And then you have a combination of both, right? So you have the people, it's called anxious avoidant. So you have the people that they seek out that attention, and then when they get it, they push it away, right? Because they don't know how to handle it. Right. So it's something that they want, but they don't know how to handle it. So it's important to understand people attachment style. And I mean, I think in a few conversations, or actually just tell them no. You want to know someone's attachment style? Just tell them no.
Listen, now, look, you don't have. So first of all, Lynn, y'all don't understand. Lynn is such a heavy hitter. She be saying stuff, and you be like, "Man, I need you to slow down because you just said a whole lot." Not that you're speaking too fast, but I think people are not getting the weight of your words. Some people they speak is just weighty. You know what I'm saying? And you just speaking some weighty stuff. So I'm gonna break that down for y'all a little bit. Let's go back through that. First of all,
break it down.
Let's break it down because I honestly just recently looked up that healthy attachment styles. That's something new that I'm learning. But it's so perfect because it does put things in the box. And I think if we honest about it, we can talk about these things and understand where we stand on this and where they stand on it, and then understand how we can coexist. And if we can figure it out. Because like you said, everybody wants to cut things off. And sometimes a sever is necessary, but it doesn't always have to be that. Sometimes if we can assess where we're at and then figure out how to move on, that's good. So you said the first one you said was healthy, was secure. And basically with secure, that just means that you're able to give me a definition for it again, because you know me, I'll make one up. So
yes, I give you the definition.
Because I have my own ideas. So let me get yours.
So secure, it's the healthy one. So it's people who are comfortable with opening up. They're comfortable with getting close to people, but they're also okay with being alone, right? So they know how to regulate their emotions. And they also, another one that you can always tell when someone has a secure attachment style, they are aware of other people's feelings.
That's good. That's what I needed to hear, that they are comfortable and okay with being vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
They're good with opening up, but then they're also okay with being in their own space. And it's not like I need you to fill my space.
Right.
And then also, like you said, they can be aware of another person's feeling.
Right.
Not just all about them. They actually can have a good balance. So that's what we strive for. And let's be honest, people. I can be honest and say that I don't know. I'm 39 now. I'm pretty sure that I have not always been the secure friend, completely secure, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have vulnerability issues. I did. I had deep vulnerability issues. I felt like vulnerability was a weakness. And now I'll also say this. In my mind, I opened up to certain people, right? I opened up to certain people, but even then, I might have not been the complete package at that moment. And so it's okay, right? And I think that's where, and that's where it's okay to be able to assess these things, okay? Natalie said that's her now. And that's kind of how I feel too, Natalie, now, right? Maybe not always, right? And I'm grateful that I'm more self-aware and I'm doing the work and I've done the work and I'm trying to be intentional. And it doesn't mean that I'm always going to get it right. Can we talk about that? Secure doesn't mean perfect. Secure doesn't mean perfect. Secure means that you have a good balance overall and that you are at a point where what we're hoping to attain. So that's the first part of it. Okay, so the next one you said was anxious. Let's talk about anxious a little bit more.
Yes. So anxious people, they're usually worried, and they're the ones who constantly seek assurance and affection to feel comfortable. And they struggle to recognize the need of others, but also they don't really like to be by themselves.
This is so packed full of so much stuff. It is so It's so full. How many times, ladies, have we been anxious before? And I'm gonna say we because I don't necessarily see myself as an anxious person, but I know I've had anxious moments, right? I have where that, like, it's so funny. I have a story when I was in college and I was by myself for the summer one time. I was so lonely. This is one of the moments. So I think everybody goes through a moment where they don't know how to be alone. And I was down at school and all my friends left to go home and nobody was around. And I was so bored. And so I remember driving around, y'all gonna laugh at me, but I'm just going to be honest. I'm gonna tell the truth for myself. I was just driving around looking for somebody to catch eye contact with so I could say, hey, and I could pull over and have a friend. Isn't that pitiful? How pitiful was that? That was so pitiful.
Yes.
I was yearning for connection. I was yearning for it. And I couldn't sit alone with myself, which is also what leads to, I used to party a lot and go out a lot and had to be around somebody. I didn't want to be alone. I wanted to always socialize. And so now that you say that whole not being able to be around, I guess that was a real big anxious part of my life.
Yes, and that's we'll see people like this. They'll go from relationship to relationship, friendship to friendship. Everybody is their friends. They have a boatload of friends because they don't know how to be alone, and that's unhealthy. It really is, because if you don't enjoy your company, what makes you think somebody else will?
Preach, sister. Okay, preach. Listen, this is one of the biggest things I think is hard for people to understand. There are serial daters, but there are also serial friendship people, I believe. Like you said, they jump from friendship to friend, or like you said, I want everybody to be my friendship, friend. And I think, well, and I'll go a little bit younger. Again, I'll be transparent because sometimes people think, oh, you're attacking. I'm not attacking. I just want us to be able to see that in ourselves or see if that's still us. And it's no problem, but it's just to be able to recognize that. I remember a time where I did, I was like, in my mind, I was a big teddy bear. Come in for the hug. Come in, everybody. I'm friendly. If you don't like me, you just got a personal thing because I'm just lovable. Because I'm gonna love you and I want you to love me. And I think that you can be a lovable and friendly person and an extrovert without having the need to be liked and embraced. Does that make sense? Am I saying that right?
That it does make sense, and you are saying it right. I just look at it from the other side. Like it's okay to be extroverted, but you have to be able to sit with yourself.
Yes, and that's it. That's the part. So if you find yourself, let's talk about it today. If y'all on this live right now and you find it that you still in 2021 can't go out to eat by yourself. You still in 2021 can't go to the movies by yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
If you've been wanting to see this art exhibit forever and none of your friends want to go, and so you miss it because you can't find nobody to go. I'm not being judgmental. I'm not pointing fingers, but I'm trying to show you, I'm trying to reflect a mirror on you that you might not see. These are problems. And trust me, if you can't do it for yourself, you can't show up adequately in a relationship.
Absolutely.
And what you might be doing unintentionally is placing that need to be with somebody else, which is it's an emptiness inside of you that you haven't figured out yet. What you're doing is you're making people feel that part of you. You know, when you're in a relationship with somebody, this is what I see. People are not comfortable with being with themselves. So then now I make you responsible for my happiness. I make you responsible for my what's that word? Entertainment. Like I heard somebody say that. They said, you know, am I here to entertain you? And they was talking about going out to eat. They was like, am I here to entertain you? And I had to think about it like, what? Wow. Like, you know, being able to understand that I shouldn't even put that pressure on you as a friend. And so recognizing that within myself. And so I can figure it out and fix that. So this is
right. And women, when we have friendships with women, they feel that anxiousness. You know, we'll feel that if we're with another woman, right? We'll feel her anxiousness. And that's the kind of stuff that, you know, that pushes people away. It really, truly does.
Ooh, girl, listen, and it can get heavy because there becomes a point where you are literally trying to fill that hole for them because that's their expectation, and you want to be a good friend. So you think,
And
oh,
we're nurturers, right?
we want to love on you as much as we can. Girl, we even talk about this in relationships, romantic relationships. How often is it that, if I love them enough, maybe it'll deter their behavior. Same thing with friendships, I found. If that person is depressed, or that person is anxious, or that person is having, issues with their life, if I love on them enough, because they're crying out and I see it, and they're what we call it, pulling on me. They pulling on me. Oh man, they tugging on me. And sometimes we, as nurturers, we unintentionally become superwoman. Or sometimes I call it their God, right? You get to a point where you want to fix everything for them. And what we have to realize is that some stuff has to be worked out by them.
Yeah, we're not their savior. We're just no.
Listen, girl, listen. I didn't want to say that, but people don't want to hear that like that. That's too harsh for them. But honestly, let me tell y'all something. Y'all keep on pouring your cup empty into somebody else's cup that has no bottom. You're gonna pour out everything.
That's good. That's good.
That's how I look at it. I do analogies. Literally, I'm pouring because they just say they need more and more, and they're gonna take as much as I pour. They ain't gonna stop me ever from pouring. And I'm pouring, and I'm depleted, completely on my deathbed. And they like, well, why'd you do all that? You didn't have to do it. You like,
yeah. Yeah, there go that whole rapture right there.
It has happened. I'm trying to tell y'all. So I'm telling y'all, if you never experienced it, you have to learn what that means and how not to do that. Let me read some of the comments just so I can make sure. I love when they interact with me. Tracy said this is a much needed conversation. Yeah, because we don't talk about it. We assume we know what healthy relationships look like, and we don't. And so it's okay to not know. Y'all, this is what we're going to do. We're going to get this work today, okay? You're going to get this work today. Heidi said, great connection is secure does not equal perfection. I need us to hear that because I used to be a former perfectionist. Okay. And I thought that I didn't do anything wrong for a while. Or here's another one. Not even that I thought I didn't do anything wrong. I thought doing something wrong meant that I wasn't a good friend. Is that the way? And I had no grace for myself. Come on, Paris. You better connect the two. I gave myself no grace. I did not acknowledge that I can make a mistake and still be a good friend. And I need
absolutely.
I need people to hear that because no, there are perfectionists out here that say they won't. So then the adverse is true too. I then don't believe that I ever did anything wrong because I don't want to ever acknowledge that I wasn't a good friend because I can't handle that. I can't handle the admission that it's ever been a point that I wasn't a good friend. But I need us to understand that not only is it entirely possible, it's about 100% true that at some point somebody did not look at you as a good friend in a moment, and that doesn't, or you did something to offend them or hurt them or something. That's completely human, and
right.
And you can still be a good friend or a secure attachment type, but have made a mistake, and that's completely fine.
Yeah.
So I just needed us to say that because I'm telling y'all that was my problem. I could not admit faults for a while because I thought that all the blame would be placed on me, and then I couldn't sit under that. I didn't want to sit under the title of a good friend because I felt like 95% of the times I was a good friend, and that 5% I didn't want that to disqualify me. But that's kind of almost how people say. Our pastor says you could lie, but that does not label you a liar. You could have lied before, but don't make that somebody's identity. Come on.
Right. That's good. That's good. Come on.
But that's it. Because we do that. When somebody does something one time and we label them. They have a child out of wedlock and then we're going to call the baby the bastard or whoremonger. And it's like, that was a one-time thing and a good thing came from it. And now that's your title.
Yeah. And that's the maturity as among women. We have to be able to talk those things through, right? If we hurt someone or if we experience hurt, we have to be able to talk those things through in order to strengthen our friendship.
Yeah. Let's see. Reese Turner said, I wish I was around my daughter. She needs to hear this. Reese, I always do my replays up here. So please, when it's done, send it to her. She want to hear it and let her friends listen to it too. Natalie said, me too. I was always so hard on myself back in the day. Listen, I'm trying to tell you, Natalie, listen, you know, from one perfectionist to another, it was hard. You didn't, and then you could not live in the authenticity of yourself because you did not want to absorb what admitting of failure looked like, and understanding that, you know, it's okay. We all make mistakes. Okay, so I'm gonna hurry up. I want to get through this stuff. Okay, all right. So we just talked about the secure, and you said so much. We had to unpack this. So secure. We talked about the anxious. What's the next one?
Avoidant. So these are people that refuse to get close to anybody, and if someone tries to get close to them, they'll push them away. So like they're in a phase of just avoiding any kind of attachment. And I do believe that this is something that, I mean, we see this a lot with men, really. This is being emotionally unavailable is what I like to call it.
Yes.
Amongst women, we do that as well, right? So how many times, you know, people are trying to be friendly with us and get to know us, and we'll avoid them, right? Won't text them back, or take forever to text them back, or send them one-word answers when we do. Like, we're doing everything we can to avoid showing any level of vulnerability. So, and that's, for me, that's fear of intimacy, right? So that person's operating under fear of intimacy.
Yes, and that's, I'm glad that you defined that. Reese, you said, well, man, listen, Reese, come on. A lot of men don't want to admit that, but it happens so often. And that's from a deep level. But yeah, with us women too. Let me tell you my biggest thing I see. You said something before. You said the shallow relationships. How often? Let me tell y'all something. I'm tired of shallow relationships. Let's kill shallow relationships in 2021. I'm sorry. Banner, news alert. If you say you're my friend, there needs to be a level of vulnerability that's present. And if you're not able to bring that, then let's talk about what that is and let's try to figure it out. But nobody wants to engage in a friendship where it's one-sided. Nobody wants to engage, or you think people don't know that your questions are shallow? Have you ever talked to somebody, y'all talk about the same thing every time? Oh, how your mama doing?
Yeah.
How work doing? It's all right.
You have no depth.
No depth. You know why? They scared of the prick. They don't want you to go under the surface, because what if you go in there and you start to see the real them? Because most times they are so scared of what they work so hard to keep up an image. They work so hard to keep up an image to be just transparent. You know how many times I hear people say, whatever goes on here that stays here, or whatever how it's said here, that happens in households, that happens in friendships. Don't say nothing. And so people get to this point where they get so concerned about keeping stuff in that they don't realize they're keeping you from coming in too. And therefore they don't know what any type of depth is, because really they've blocked all that because they really don't want any, or usually it's a trauma response, right? That means that they've had somebody either talk about them, or they've had somebody hurt them, or it could be family, and they just don't trust. So then they get to a point where they just like, okay, well, I'm going to keep it shallow. I see that so often. Or I even told somebody, some of the most hurtful, avoidant people I know look like extroverts in the middle of a crowd around everybody. Come on, Lynn, tell me you've seen this.
Yeah, so that's the anxious avoidant. That's the one that's after the avoidant. Yeah. So people like that, I mean, you always see them. They're craving the attention, and then they get it, and then they don't, like, that's it. Like, they don't want it, right? So they go out of their way to go, to get the attention, and then when they get it, that's anxious avoidant. Like, that's the combination of the two.
Yeah. And see, and the thing about it is, it's so crazy because people don't realize they show up this way. And I think that's what this conversation is about. Recognize what you do. Don't beat yourself up about it. This is not about condemnation. It's about recognition. What's the word? Recognition. Because then if you can say, this is me, okay, and own it, right? Everybody want to talk about, hey, I'm grown, I own this, I own that. Well, own whatever you are, and then be able to say, this is something you need to own. The fact that you're a Leo or Sagittarius or Aquarius, you don't need to own that. No. And y'all, I don't care what y'all think about that, whatever. That's less important. Okay, that's what you're into. What you need to own is understanding how you show up. Because trust and believe, you show up in all of your relationships like this.
Yes, and people don't understand that they have blind spots, right? So there's some things that you know about yourself. There's some things that you don't know about yourself that other people see, right? So those blind spots are what your friends see. And if somebody comes to you and tell you, hey, like, you're kind of rude, like you think it's fine, you think it's normal because you're like, oh, I know I'm a little spicy, but it's like, no, that's not spice, that's rudeness, right? So it's those blind spots that we have to be vulnerable, we have to show up authentically for those blind spots to be shown, and then we have to be okay with people bringing that up and not being offended.
That part, because that's what I was just about to say. Sometimes you're saying we have to be able to say that to our friends. But if you have seen a track record with your friends where they cannot handle any constructive criticism, you tend to shut down a little bit. And that's not saying it's okay. And I'm not saying it's good. I'm saying that sometimes tend to be. So be approachable, people. Be approachable. Be able to take some hard conversations. Listen, you want to know if you're not approachable? This is how you're going to know. If nobody ever says anything against you. And if you do say something against you that you are defended every single time. You want to know how I know? Because I used to be that way. I didn't think I would. Now, I wasn't fully unapproachable. I just was defensive. I was the later part of it. I was defensive. Like when somebody said something, and that was my whole perfectionist thing, right? I did not understand that I could be a good friend, but also make mistakes. And so I couldn't own my mistakes. And so when somebody used to say something, I had to defend it because I felt like I am a good friend because I need to be loved. I need to be seen. I need to be, let's be honest, right? So I want to be that. So being approachable, being able to have somebody to be able to say something to you and being able to objectively look at that and be
yes. And I just want to say before we go into the toxic part of it, your friends are not your therapist, right? So everything that Paris just named, these are things like I don't know how to fix it. Get a therapist, right? They're the ones who walk you through how to fix this, right? I don't want to say fix. They're the ones who walk you through how to process this. That way you can develop into, a mature friend, right? So they'll help you with these blind spots because therapists see them all, right? And they'll be able to tell you, about these blind spots and, help you process it. But your friends are not your therapist, right? So friends are there to, for you to vent. Therapists are there to help you process. Right now, your friends can be with you throughout the process, but don't make your friend your therapist. And it's so hard for people like Paris and myself, who that's what we do. But don't. We're not your therapist. I will quickly refer my friends to a therapist. Like, you need a therapist, right? Because I need a friend, right? I don't need you as a client. I need you as a friend.
And that's important. And it doesn't even mean you love them any less. See, sometimes people don't get what boundaries look like. Some people say, well, I don't want to buy, that's another gaslighting thing I don't want to go through. When people start saying, I don't want to bother you with this, because they really do want to bother you with it. And they really want you not to be bothered with it. And it doesn't mean that you don't love them any less, but it's just that they want to dump and do nothing about it. And it becomes a thing of, okay, well, maybe that is something that's better for them because it's unbiased. You have something unjudgmental, and you have them that they're there to help you process or even just get it out sometimes. So, I don't want anybody to feel some kind of way because we said that, but that's some very important things.
Can you pin that in the chat for me? Your friends are not your therapists.
I'm going to type it. Because you know what? People get to the point where, and let's say this, I'm gonna go a little further. Your family, your loved ones are not your therapist either. I don't care if you love Big Mama like that.
I don't care if they're trained still, like get you a therapist, a third party that is completely separate, a blank slate, somebody that you can show up authentically with.
That's why I'm saying it, because I think sometimes people are like, but they love me unconditionally. Yes, they love you. Your mama love you. Your brother love you. Your sister, they love you. But you still need an objective eye. And you still need to work through some things. And guess what? That person might love you enough. They might not be able to tell you the full truth.
Right.
Or they might not be able to show and be honest with you about how you're showing up. And so that's so important. Okay, I'm trying to look, girl. We always have a great conversation. All right, hold on. I'm gonna get some of these comments because I want people to know. I'm so glad people are engaging. Reese said that he's like that with work friends, where he was talking about the avoidant, the shallow, and listen, you have every right to
That's fine. Work friends is a category, right? So we're not just like that with work friends, but also our church friends, right?
The church. We can't go to the church today, honey. We can't go to the church today. But yeah, that's it, and that's okay. Boundaries are good. You can decide how you want to show up. Let me say that. You can decide how you want to show up. There's levels to this. There's not everybody. We got to be careful with that friend word that we pop around. There are levels to this and categories. We have to do that another day. Yeah, Reese said he's tired of the no shallow relationships. He's learning that he's had so many of them. He realized he's over it. That's so good. How many times do people don't realize that we had it, and it becomes a point where I don't want to invest any more energy into that. He said he's learning there's so many images. Come on.
Oh, Reese is a female. Somebody said Reese is a female. Is it Reese? Maybe it's Reese.
I'm so sorry. I apologize. I'm so sorry. I have another friend. I'm sorry. I have a high school friend that has that same name. I'm gonna show y'all because y'all gonna think I'm lying. I'm not. Okay. Sorry, Reese. I'm Reese. I'm sorry. But Reese, you say I'm learning there's so many images. Listen, the facade, people keep up. They spend energy and time into it, and they don't want to let you in because they don't want to have to deconstruct that. Boo boo. Okay, I learned that long ago. Drea said, Anna said, maybe sometimes an individual does not know how to be a good friend. Absolutely. That's the whole purpose of having this conversation, is because a lot of people don't know how to be a good friend. And it's not something against your personhood. Like, this is not a bad thing. This just means that you didn't know. You were not shown this.
Right.
Or you thought you knew, and maybe you didn't know the full gamut of it. And it's okay.
And you have to be open about that, right? So when you are developing friendships, just be honest with, like, I really don't, I'm new to this. Right. I'm new.
And so that's good. Let's see. They don't recognize it. Oh, Natalie said something. She said, I've been in friendship training for the last few years. Girl, is that really a training? Or is that just you being like, are you saying that you've been going through that with your friendship circles? Either way, I love it. I love it because that's being honest about learning and showing up and understanding what you need and being able to understand what it's like to be and wanting to be a better friend. I mean, come on, guys, wanting to show up better for the people that you care about. That's so good. Let me get the rest of these comments. We're going to go on to the toxic thing. Reese said, I have had to learn not to block that dump. This is when we were talking about your friends, not your therapist. And being okay with that, being okay with it. And Reese said another thing, depending on what's needing to be dumped. Listen, your friends should be able to talk to you and tell you what's going on in their life and be vulnerable. There's a difference where you need to walk through some things. And if you feel like, I'll help you figure out if you need something more than just a friend to vent to. When it comes to a point where you have a conversation done with and you still feel like you have so much more to sort out and you still feel like they don't have enough time in a day to hear how you need to process, then that's probably when you need a therapist. And it doesn't mean your friend doesn't love you, and it doesn't mean your friend doesn't want to be with you, and it doesn't mean that they don't care about your situation. It just means that you're trying to process some stuff that they're not even, I'm helping you out. Your friend's not even capable to fully help you.
Right. They're not qualified. You need somebody that's degreed, right? And people underestimate that. Like, there's hours and hours of training, like thousands of hours of training, that's outside of the book work that's required to be a therapist. Go ahead. It's a science to it. People don't know. It's a science to it. It's the science of the process. And, just to a qualified therapist.
That's good. And that's good. And then Natalie said, you and the Lord. Yes, girl, you and the Lord better work through friendship camp. That's it though. Like, if you want, listen, in order to be to have good friends, you have to want to be a good friend. If you don't know what that's like, then go through the process. And I'm so glad you said that. Okay, so we're talking about healthy relationships. So let's go to toxic. What happens? Yes. Talked about what these attachment types are. We talked about what it takes to be in a healthy relationship, vulnerability, communication, be honest and concise. What about toxic things? What are some toxic things?
So this is the segment I like to call like giving your pearls to swine. Like I like to ask, how committed are you to people's toxicity, right? So people are so committed to it. Like I'm gonna give y'all this list, and then I'll let Paris decide which one she wanted. You know, just expound on because it's a list, but I'll try to condense it down for the time. But toxic friendships look like they push you back instead of pushing you forward. They attack your vision, right? So you have a vision from God, and they're set up to attack it. They never show up for you. They never celebrate you. They're manipulative, inconsistent. And I have a whole definition for consistency. They're always agreeing with you or always disagreeing with you. They only focus on you supporting them. Everyone has access to them, so they're friends to everybody. They're the possessive type. They don't like you having other friends. They blindly support your bad decisions or encourage you to do bad stuff. Name calling. So I'm totally against name calling, like amongst female friends. And you have to be able to confront that part of you that accepts this. So go ahead, Paris. What you want to pull from the list?
Girl, come on, this list. I'm sorry. This list. I'm like Natalie when she says, wow, this list. Because I think we all heard something that we participated in, meaning either we felt that before and we've seen it show up. And sometimes we just, oh, that's just how they are. Oh, that's just what they do. Oh, and we don't acknowledge that is toxic. My God, you said so many things. Girl, I don't even know where to show up with this list at. But if I had to choose, one of the things I'm gonna choose is oh God, so much
consistency. Let me just go out consistency, and I'll give a definition for it, right? Okay. So this is my definition of consistency. So it's saying it with words, but also showing it with actions.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. That's good. Backing up what you say with actions. That is necessary because so many times people say, I'm a friend, I'm a good friend, and then they don't show up. And not even show up I'm all about quality versus quantity. I don't care if you show up 1,700 times. You are not present. Miss me with that because to be checked off, right? But then you need to know what makes sense. And then some people are like, I could tell them I'm busy with this and I have this going on. This is a real important thing, but they really do count if you show up. So to them, so definitions matter too. But consistency is so necessary.
Absolutely.
And when a lack of it is very toxic, and the gaslighting comes in when they make like you don't really know what you feel, and you're not really accurately describing it. I did also want to touch on when you said about the whole always agreeing. Listen. That sounds wonderful, doesn't it? Don't it sound like somebody
always agreeing and always disagreeing, like the two extremes?
The two extremes are hard, but I'm gonna go to the always agreeing. Let me tell you why. Because people might say, "Oh yeah, always disagreeing." That sounds toxic. Let's talk about the always agreeing. Nobody thinks that always agreeing is toxic. Let me tell you why it's toxic. Let me help y'all out. That's toxic because that person's not really showing up. They are literally conforming to what you're saying. And usually that's a good sign that they're not being honest and they are not having their own thought process. And so it's a lot of different reasons why people do that. But when they do it, I found it also is a thing where if I say yes to everything, then you must know I'm a good friend. And then what usually happens, they secretly resent your actions. They secretly resent how you choose. And they then will bring that back up and say, hey, I always did this because you wanted to do it. I always do it. And it's like, wait a minute. Like, look, we got beef. We got beef. I didn't know we had beef. I thought it was good. And then you realize that they really were not authentically feeling that way. I think Reese said something that was kind of maybe similar to this. So let's do it. She said, what about the ones who make it seem like they're all those positive things, but secretly they are these traits that you're describing? Come on, this is what
you got that. If they're toxic, I always say you have to confront those parts that accepts it, but that's the blind spots that I was talking about. So some people don't realize that all that they're not showing up authentically.
And that's it. And that's it. And that's
And you can bring that to people's attention, say, hey, I see that you're positive, but on the flip side, you have a lot of negative and toxic stuff going on. Like, can we talk about that?
Woo. And you know what? Let me tell y'all, let me help y'all out. Let me help you out. I look like I'm being dramatic because I am a little bit, but I need to drive this home. They're not gonna like it. They're not gonna like it. They're not gonna be like, oh, really? You know what? You are right. I am toxic and dysfunctional. That's not how that's gonna go. Okay. You think it's
the real friends will respect it. Like the real ones that are open to change, they will respect it.
Understood. But I just want to let people know. They're gonna be like, what? You signed me up for World War II. Listen, that's an easy thing to happen. And it doesn't mean to throw that away completely. It just means that we should be able to talk about it. Now, does it mean the first time I come to you and tell you I think something is toxic or dysfunction that you're going to be like, really? Thank you so much. I really appreciate you pointing out all my toxic. No, I just want people to be honest. You're not. The first time somebody pointed out something I was doing wrong, I did not accept it at first. Now, I think I'm somebody that's pretty forward thinking. What I didn't do was I didn't fight them particularly, but what I did was I was like, I don't think I'm showing up like that. And I kind of was defensive. But then what I did do, the good thing I like about me is that I later went back and thought about it, and I had to process it by myself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, dang, I did do that. And then I went back to them and said, you know what, I thought about it, and you're right, I did do that. Now, I was able to do that, but it's not always going to go like that. And
you got to be ready to fight. When you should know your friends well enough to be like, you know what, I'm gonna have to fight her if I bring this up. Because some people will, they'll be ready to fight. Because like, oh, you call me a hypocrite.
Because they cannot handle that piece. Let me tell you something. Somebody said something, and this is like I'm gonna try to get like this is good conversation. We always have good conversations. But I think the biggest thing that I was taught that helped me out was, I cannot be offended if you lying to me when you lie to yourself every day. Let me tell you something, y'all. You got to also know your friends. You got to do, I hate to say it, but you low-key got to almost do case studies to understand who you're dealing with. Because for real, because you will go crazy like, wait a minute, they gaslighting, they doing this, they blaming. And you really would think that like you're not doing what I'm telling you. You don't understand what you feeling because you don't know who you're dealing with. And I'm telling you, sometimes you have to understand somebody may never admit to those things. It's because they are living a lie. They don't even see themselves for real. And it doesn't mean that they are like somebody that's a liar. Listen, if I point out some people to y'all that literally are lying to themselves every day, you would be like, but they're Mother Teresa. Sorry. So funny to me. It's so funny to me because I need to say this because I think the perception is, oh, they get along with everybody. They have great relationships. They seem that they're positive. They're wonderful. You don't understand sometimes, though, they might literally be keeping up these fronts and have these shadow relationships that seem good and wonderful. And then as soon as you prick the surface, you'll start to see certain things unravel. And if you actually said that to them, they might not be able to receive it because again, I'm a good friend. I'm this and I'm that. And it's hard for them to see. So learning to who you can say these things to and then understanding. And then that's why I even want to bring this toxic thing up. Like, what do you do? So can we talk about, hold on. I'm going to put what Natalie said real quick. Then I'm going to ask you a question and we're going to wrap this up about the toxic thing. Natalie said that she had one that she turned on me, lied to me, to so many people. I didn't say a word and I let people believe what she said to keep her peace. Listen. Well, Chrisette Michelle had a song and I love it. And I can't sing, but I'm going to sing a little bit of it. Blame it on me. Say it's my fault. Say I'm a liar and a cheater. Say anything you want, as long as you say it's over. When I first heard the song, it was just catchy. But when you think about the mindset she was in, that means I'm done. I don't care what you say. I'm willing to sacrifice what I look like to everybody else to be out of this toxic relationship because I'm just over it. And sometimes some toxic relationships take you there. And that's what I wanted to end with this. We sometimes always say, oh, don't go into the new year with a new toxic friend, or we'll either say, work something out. And I have my thoughts. Some relationships are worth figuring out and saving, and some relationships, you need to leave them right where they at and figure it out. So if somebody's on this live and they are in a situation like this, where they know and they recognize some really toxic traits, like not just one, but more than one, Lynn, what do you say on how to approach this right now, kind of what they should do? Because some people might want to say it's not one size fits all, but can we maybe give them some good advice to kind of leave with?
I would say ask yourself, how committed are you to dealing with that, right? So you have to also, I always tell people now, I look at the world so differently as a psychologist. And I always ask myself, with my clients, how committed am I to their issue? So that's something we have to ask ourselves in good friendships and in our toxic friendships. And it's okay to let toxic friends go. You can slowly move them through, from having access, limit them to 1 hour a month, 30 minutes a month until you cut them off. Or I would say just get into therapy. If you want to remain in this toxic relationship, but I don't suggest you do because it's bad for your health, get into therapy and get some skills on how to cope. Right, on how to cope with this. And I say that that's with family as well. But keep in mind too, this is statistic, and I'm a numbers person, so statistics alone, it's like 18 million people are depressed, right? Most of those are women. So it's highly likely that you're dealing with a depressed friend or a friend with mental illness and learning disorders. And there's so much undiagnosed stuff that people have. You have to ask yourself, how committed are you to their issues?
Listen, and that's on that. I forgot you said that part about that's a one line. That's a one hitter quitter. How committed are you to their toxic behavior? Because you honestly, somebody can name 12 toxic things they're doing, but you said, but they're this. Oh, okay, you can handle it. Got you. I can't convince you that you don't want to be friends with them. But like you said, you might end up. I heard somebody say this was so good. They said, I am in therapy because the people that I love will not go to therapy.
Yes.
So funny, but true. I thought it was so funny because it's like I'm dealing with people that's in my life that really won't deal with their issues, and it affects me. And I'm in therapy to unpack those things because they won't go to therapy to unpack those things.
Right.
So good that you said that, but then like also realizing that that's called. Listen, stress is real. It kills for real. Women have the number one. The number one killer for us is heart disease, I believe. We have all type of issues. We take care of everybody else. We're nurturers. We take care of everybody else, and we do not take care of our mental health. Sometimes you're in friendships, not just romantic relationships. We talk about relationships that kill you, baby. I know I've been in friendships that the pull on me is so much it depletes me. That's another way for you to know. If you get on the phone with somebody or you get in their presence and you're automatically depleted, you're automatically like, you get with them.
Oh, yeah. You're drained.
You're like, whew. And you feel guilty about it because you want to be a good friend. So you smile, you listen, and you literally automatically feel depleted. Then you need to think about that and understand that, it's not about being a good friend or not being a good friend. It's about understanding boundaries and being able to define. You have the right to decide what you have in your life. And you do not have to stay in a relationship. I'm gonna help people out too with this. Then we're gonna get out of here. If somebody's suicidal, hear me, y'all. Or somebody's deeply depressed or has a mental health issue that is
undiagnosed.
Girl, I don't want to start talking about the undiagnosed because that get deep, girl. It get real deep. It get real deep. Get real deep. Girl, if I tell you, I have theories about how many undiagnosed people are out here. Okay. But if you have somebody in your life like that, you are literally, you're going to be drained trying to handle this. You're not a professional. And so what you call abandoning them, because I think that's what we do. We're nurturers. So I'm not going to leave my friend. I'm not going to, and I understand it because I was her. I am sometimes still dealing with stuff like that. But what you have to understand is that you are not their God. You are not their therapist. And more importantly, because somebody might never go to therapy, but let's be honest, you're not responsible for their emotional capacity and intelligence. And that's hard to hear. That's going to be hard for people to hear because they're like, well, what if my friend commits suicide and I wasn't there for him? I don't want to sound harsh, but if you still are not responsible, if that ever so happened, you're not responsible. And we have the survivor's grief. We have all this stuff. Come on, Lynn, you know about all this stuff. And you need to go see somebody.
There's so many. If you have a friend that's suicidal, call the suicide hotline for them, right? Do a wellness check. Have the police go over there and assess them, right? If you feel that helpless, Do your part. There are things that you can do as a friend, and they might not like it. They might hate you for it. But I think that, when it comes to suicide, definitely, you can never be too sure. And it's okay to get them assessed. It really is.
Yeah, and it's because you love them, and also, even if it's not necessarily suicide, if you have somebody that's having some deep mental issues, and you kind of think you know what it is, baby, you can't love them enough. You can't be a friend enough to keep them from being healthy. And more importantly, I'm not asking you. It's going to affect your mental. It's going to start affecting your emotional capacity. It's going to start affecting how you show up.
Can I say this? People, when you deal with people with undiagnosed mental illnesses and even diagnosed mental illness, if you stick with them and you don't have therapy, you start to develop one as well. As a coping mechanism, you'll develop one.
I'm sorry. I didn't want to say it, but you said it, y'all. This is the therapist that said it. If you're dealing with somebody with undiagnosed mental health issues and you deal with them long enough, you will develop your own. And I think sometimes people don't want to honestly see that that's a possibility, but it is so realistic and true.
Absolutely.
It's nature versus nurture. You're literally in that environment, and your environment does give to you. You don't even understand that, because guess what you're doing? Your coping mechanisms are very unhealthy, because now you're trying to make sense of dealing with somebody that is dealing completely irrationally. And so what you're doing is you're enabling them. You're saying sometimes you're starting to lie, because telling the truth, they're gonna snap or whatever, especially if you're dealing with narcissists and
bipolar, borderline. It's a lot.
Personality disorders. It's so much. So this is a warning. And I hate to go here. This is the warning. If you are dealing with somebody and you think that they are having a mental health issue, and you think, if I can just be a friend to them enough, and if I can do this, you are endangering your mental health. And this is a warning, because I love you. I love you. Go see somebody, and maybe you can step out and realize.
Encourage them too, as well. Like, encourage them to go see somebody, and you can do group therapy, right? If they don't want to go by themselves one-on-one, just start them off with group therapy.
Yeah, however you need to do it. But I'm telling you, and I'm sorry if this is sounding selfish, I'm just gonna say it. Do you want to be the one that has a mental health illness? Do you? Especially if you didn't already have one, then stop playing around with this. It's not a game. It's not a joke. You can't save them. You can love them, but sometimes you have to learn when you have to walk away from something that's toxic, because it will literally, it's the high probability that you will also have a mental health issue. So I think this is such a good place to end, because we can go on and on with this. Lynn, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You are always a delight. You always give me so much insight, and I love that we can just talk and flow. And it's just why, listen, I couldn't shortcut this to an hour if I wanted to. It was so much, and we could go for so much longer. But I think this is a good stopping point. Y'all, if y'all just getting on here, please go back and watch the replay. If you know somebody needs, first of all, I used to be real modest about the sharing thing. Go share this with somebody. It ain't about me, and it ain't about Lynn. It's about us wanting people to have healthy relationships and friendships. Please share this with somebody. You don't know whose life you're helping. You don't. I mean, that's
absolutely.
It's that real. It's that deep. Share it with everybody you know, because we need to have these conversations. Conversations save lives. We got to stop talking hush hush. We got to stop pretending. Let's talk about these things. So please share, tag, comment. I appreciate you guys. Lynn, you already know we're going to chop this up again another day. I know, you're so humble that you'll come back on. So we'll do it another.
Yes. Just let me know. I'm happy to be here. I love sharing this information. I
love having you share it. So we always going to be good here. So it's going to be wonderful. And y'all know how I ended out. You are enough. Hold on, y'all see my shirt. You're enough. I need you to know that. You know why? I'm going to say it every single time. You know why? You're enough, and you're worthy to have good, healthy friendships. I'm always going to tie it in. I am. You're worthy.
Yes.
You don't have to do anything else. Even if you are somebody that's showing up in one of those toxic ones, it's okay. You're still worthy to be loved. You're worthy to do the work. You're worthy to get a therapist and love yourself enough to go get a therapist and start working these things out. You're enough.
Yes.
Somebody loves you. I love you. We love you. And so on that note, have an amazing evening. Y'all know it's Thursday. I won't see y'all till Tuesday. So that means what are we talking about? Self-care weekends. Do something nice for yourself. Be kind to yourself. Cook something you like. Get something to eat. I don't care. Work out. Get some sun. I don't care. Do something for yourself because you deserve it. You are.
Yes, therapy is also self-care.
Therapy is self-care. And then you heard it right there. You heard it right there. Y'all better get y'all a therapist. 2021. That's going to be the new thing. You better get you a therapist, boo. Come on. Get you a therapist. Get healthy.
Can you put on the shirt, please?
Get just do it. All right. And then y'all, if you need my shirt, go onto my website, www.parispjohnson.com. Lynn, I'm sorry. If people wanted to follow you or get connected to you, how would they do that?
I should be tagged in the video. I think my name show up as Lynn or Lynn Murphy. My email address is iamlynnmurphy@gmail.com. Feel free to email me.
You said something about the mentoring group. Is that open? For the
no, not yet. Not yet. I have, I can work with the group, but that's for teens. Okay. I'm more than happy to do life coaching with adults. Just email me.
Awesomeness, y'all. And if y'all ever need, y'all can DM me. I'll give y'all her personal information. But this is amazing. This is awesome. I love it. Y'all bye. Y'all not gonna talk forever, so bye.